They have a shot, and I think they'll make the tournament quite easily. But winning the league, I'm not so sure about that. Anyway, predicted to finish third. Remember, these are all my predictions. This is not anyone else's, but I'm picking Memphis. Josh Pastner got maybe the biggest offseason move for him was something that's going to affect him in future seasons by hiring assistant coach Keelan Lawson. Now, Lawson has Dedrick and KJ, who are both members of the class of 2016, and they are very good. They're both top 100 prospects, and the rumor is that he's got two younger kids, I believe a class of 2018 and maybe even a class of 2020, and they're both projected to be very good too. So that could be the assistant coach hire of the season if it brings in 4 top 100 prospects, even if he may not be the greatest coach out there. Last year, Memphis, 24-10, 12-6 in conference, lost in the quarterfinals of the AAC tournament to UConn. They beat George Washington in the first round before losing to UVA, Virginia, in the third round. Well, second round, whatever, third round, whatever you want to call it. Team brings back a lot of talent. Chris Crawford, Michael Dixon, Joe Jackson are all gone. Jaron Johnson and David Pelham are also gone. Damian Wilson transferred to Kennesaw State, and Dominic Woodson transferred to Tennessee. They brought in the best player that they brought in was Dominic McGee. He's from Louisiana, 4-star prospect, good point guard. I think he has a chance to be talented. I'm not sure if he'll be starting on this team, but the strength of this team is definitely in the forwards. Shaq Goodwin and Austin Nichols are really talented players. I would not be surprised to see Shaq Goodwin really break it open this year. Players like Curran Iverson, he could be a really good player. Rashawn Powell, Avery Woodson. This is a talented team, and I would not be surprised to see a lot of these guys. I'm not too sure if this team has the depth, really, to get into the NCAA tournament. They've made it the past several years. Josh Pastner is obviously a great coach, but this isn't the same team that was dominating Conference USA. This is in a tougher conference with tougher competition, and I'm taking a look at the schedule right now, and they open it in a very tough game. They travel to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the only way you're going to get a lot of fans to show up to a neutral site game on Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is to tip it off with the team that went undefeated in the regular season, Wichita State, in the middle of nowhere, in an opening week game. So that will be a really fun game to watch for the College Hoops Tip-Off Marathon. Then they've got Prairie View A&M at home as part of the Las Vegas Invitational. Then they travel to Vegas and they'll play Baylor. Baylor's not a great team, but they're a good team. Then they'll play either Illinois or Indiana State, and they should probably beat both of those teams. And then Stephen F. Austin again on December 2nd. Then they've got 8 straight home games. Toughest game out of that will be Oklahoma State. Those 6 straight non-conference home games, and then that opens the conference season. Toughest game will be Oklahoma State. Bradley's also on the schedule. Oral Roberts, USC Upstate, Western Illinois, and NC Central. Couple of good teams there. I like NC Central. I like USC Upstate. Oklahoma State, I could call for an upset. I think they won last year. I'm not sure, but Memphis definitely a team to keep an eye on. Talented, have good chemistry, team that's had success of winning. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go far. Picking to finish in the 4th position, I'm picking Temple. Temple did not have a good season last year. It's kind of unorthodox for someone like Fran Dunphy to not have a good season, but they lost Anthony Lee, a graduate transfer to Ohio State. Now, Anthony Lee is really good, and he would have been a really solid player in this team, but remember, he led the team last year, and they only got to 9-22, but I expect this team to make a big step forward this year. Obi Anichionia is not a super impact player, but he's a good power forward with size, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a step forward this year. Dalton Pepper, their senior, is gone. That's a loss, but coming back, Quentin DeCosi and Will Cummings. Both of those guys averaged over 15 points per game last season. Both of them really solid guards that are both going to step in and really have an impact right away. In terms of size, they don't have a ton. Daniel Dingle is not really a guy with huge on size. Mark Williams comes back, but they don't really have a true center. Devontae Watson didn't play a lot last year. Played about 13 minutes a game, but he has some size. So they're going to be looking for size. They have good guards. But I would not expect Fran Dunphy to have another season with a losing record in conference play. That's not something I'd see of him. Looking at the non-conference schedule, they start off the Coaches vs. Cancer Classic with 2 home games against American and Louisiana Tech. Then they travel to Barclays Center and they'll play Duke. I would expect Duke to beat them handily, actually. Duke's a lot better team than Temple, but maybe they'll pull an upset. It's more of a home game. Well, no, actually, Duke is more of a home game there. But then they'll play Stanford or UNLV. Both of those games are kind of a toss-up, I guess. Then they've got conference games all over the place. Penn and Brooklyn at home. Then they're at St. Joseph's, and they're at the Palestra against LaSalle, which is kind of like a neutral site game, I want to say. I guess. I mean, they're both nearby. Then they're back home against Towson, and then they've got away games against Villanova and Delaware. Villanova's the favorite to win the Big East, so that'll be a tough game. And then versus Kansas at the Wells Fargo Center on the 22nd. I expect Kansas to win that game, but it's much closer to home for Temple, and you never know. That would be a huge upset if they could pull it off. And then they've got Delaware State. This is the toughest schedule so far that I've seen in the American. They've got games against Kansas, Villanova, LaSalle, Stanford, Duke, and then maybe Stanford, St. Joseph's. This is a tough schedule for a team that's had a tough year. I wouldn't be surprised. They could make a run, but this team is going to need. They're talented. There's no doubt about that. They're going to need a lot of improvement from their bigs to really stick out as a contender this year in the American. Going on to the next team, I want to talk about Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati is a team that's had continued success, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them make the tournament again. The problem is that this team has lost quite a bit, and it's just tough for a team that's lost so much. Sean Kilpatrick's gone, Justin Jackson's gone, Jermaine Lawrence was very, very talented, didn't get a lot of playing time. He's gone, transferred to Manhattan. Derek Cox is gone. Titus Rubles is gone. The recruiting class is okay. Gary Clark and Quadri Moore are bigs that have a chance to be impact players. Octavius Ellis and Farad Cobb are both junior college transfers that could be impact players. Mick Cronin's never had the reputation as a super strong recruiter, so I guess it's not out of the ordinary, but this team is really, I think they're going to struggle to score this year with the losses that they suffered with their 3 leading scorers all leaving. So Shaquille Thomas, I guess he's the top returning scorer, but I'm not really sure what I see out of him. Jermaine Sanders obviously gone. Jermaine Sanders is back. Sorry, it's Jermaine Lawrence that transferred. So this team, they're the top returning scorers at less than 7 points per game. But obviously this is a team coached by Mick Cronin. You can never count him out. But I wouldn't expect them to make the tournament this year. Taking a look at the non-conference schedule, they've got a couple easy home games against St. Francis, Morehead State, Eastern Illinois, and North Carolina Central. Then they go to Niceville, Florida for the Emerald Coast Classic, and they'll play Middle Tennessee, and then either Ole Miss or Creighton. Creighton, I'm not sure. I guess that'd be a toss-up. Then they've got Stony Brook, and then 2 very difficult games. They visit Nebraska, and they host San Diego State. I'll get to San Diego State in the Mountain West Conference preview. But Nebraska, sleeper game. Would not be surprised to see them lose that game. Then another tough game, hosting VCU, Virginia Commonwealth. Wouldn't be surprised to see them lose that game also. Then they've got Wagner, and then they're at NC State. NC State, not a super good team, but they could lose that game. So I don't think Cincinnati makes the tournament this year, but you can never count out a team like them who's been consistently good. But they're going to need a couple of years. I think they're starting a rebuilding phase, definitely. So this team is going to need a couple of years to get back to where they are, I think. Picking to finish 6th in the conference, about halfway through now. This is going a little bit longer than I thought, but is Houston Cougars. Now, the most interesting storyline, I think, of coaching this year is Kelvin Sampson making his return. Obviously, left Indiana several years ago after the serious NCAA allegations of violations, and then he got the show cause penalty. I believe he got a show cause penalty. He was an assistant coach in the NBA for a couple years. But this is a guy that's had success at Oklahoma and success at Indiana. I wouldn't be surprised if he led Houston back in a couple years. I just don't think this is the year. But he's a good coach. But this team lost a lot. Daniel House is gone. They didn't lose a lot of guys to graduation. The biggest loss was to Deshaun Thomas. And after the loss of James Dickey, the head coach, Deshaun Thomas and Danwell House, who were both very talented, both requested to leave. Danwell House went to Texas A&M. Deshaun Thomas went to Oklahoma. And Valentin Izundu, whose size is really important, is gone to Washington State. But they got a bunch of junior college players in J.C. Washington, who is a high school power forward. But obviously, the top two scorers from last year in House and Thomas are gone. And this team is really, I don't know. I guess this team is talented, but I just don't see it happening this year. Gerard Stiggers, 11 points per game. LJ Rose, 9. I think LJ Rose graduated. I know he didn't. So this team, I think they've got a ways to go. They're talented, but I think they've got a ways to go. I think Kelvin Sampson can certainly take this team to a place they want to be. I just don't know if it'll be this year or in a couple of years. Non-conference schedule. The toughest game I'm looking at right now is Boise State, and that game is being played on a neutral site. It's part of the Las Vegas Classic. They could potentially play Texas Tech, but that's not really a tough game. The other tough game I see is at Harvard, but I think Houston can handle Harvard. So this team, I think they've got talent, but obviously it might not be enough to take them to where they want to go, because this team is really, they have talent. I don't think anyone can deny that. But sometimes when there's a new coach in place and it's going to be tough for a team like them to really, I guess, mesh. I mean, maybe if you guys are understanding what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kelvin Sampson take this team to the promised land within a couple of seasons. That wouldn't surprise me. But right now, I'm not sure he's going to take them there. I think it'll be a couple years. But he's a talented coach. I do think he's got a ways to go, though. So that'll move us on to our next team, which is the Tulsa Hurricane. Now, Frank Haith comes over from Missouri. Obviously, he saw a situation he didn't like there and decided he'd hop away here. Moving from Conference USA, this team is in its first year here. Michael Littlejohn comes in. He's their only really solid recruit that was ranked. But for Tulsa, this is going to be a year kind of working to get towards where they need to be. They lost Barrett Hunter, Pat Swilling, Time Pete, and Lou Evans. Pat Swilling obviously was the most important member of those. James Woodard comes back this year, and he's very important for this team as a junior. Rashad Smith returns, and Shaquille Harrison returns. So those are three guys that are really going to have an impact on this team. I think this team has some talent too, but I think Frank Haith is going to need some time to develop his team the way he wants to. Maybe get some recruits in. But yeah, looking at the schedule, at Oral Roberts as part of the MGM Grand Event, and then Louisiana Lafayette. MGM Grand Event heavyweight bracket, they've got Auburn, and then either Oklahoma State or Oregon State. Now that's a huge mistake between OSUs. Oklahoma State, I would expect Tulsa to lose. Oregon State, I could see them winning. Then they've got two tough games in the Midwestern states. At Wichita State, I just don't see them winning. And Creighton at home, I'm not sure about that either. They also got Oklahoma at home. I really like Oklahoma. So Tulsa's got a tough schedule, not the greatest roster. I wouldn't be surprised to see this team I think they're finishing in the bottom half of the conference, and there's not really two halves because it's an uneven amount of teams. Right in the middle.